Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Profit Minds podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Stephen Kirch, creator of the Profit Minds Growth System, a unique blend of profit growth, productivity acceleration, and building robust business process for scale. In every episode, I interview entrepreneurs and small business owners from around the world with a unique story to tell. You can find the show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple and Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and more. Hi, everyone. Today, my guest is Juli Baranik, founder of Seven Figure Builder and host of the Seven Figure Builder Show. Today, we're going to be talking about relationship-based lead generation. Welcome, Juli.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah. So as you know, the first thing that I do with every guest is I ask them to tell their story, because everybody's story is unique and it says so much about what brought you to this place, why you do what you do. So tell us your story.
Well, I have a winding story, as most people do, I'm sure, but I actually started my career as a registered nurse in high-risk labor and delivery, which is not where I am right now, but it was, and that's usually the face that I get. It was an amazing career, and I loved it and loved connecting with people. And a couple years after I started, I've always been very creative and techie, and so someone reached out to me and asked if I could help them with a website, and I said, sure, I can figure it out. And so that's what I did back in the world of tables and, hard coding everything, and long time ago. And so I started a business on the side, and I was a nurse on the weekends, ran my business during the week, and it let me be home with my kids. But through twists and turns of life, I wanted to switch into full-time IT and worked my way into the corporate world, working for eBay, for Project Management Institute, for consulting for Fortune 500s around the world. And I've done that for quite a while. And through that, I found, just really passionate about connecting with people on a human level and focusing in on building those relationships in a very genuine and authentic way. So as I moved into my own business, that's really where my primary focus is taking, all the strength and expertise I have from helping these massive organizations. And now I use that power for good and help entrepreneurs in growing their business and building relationships with their clients.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we share that passion for helping others, right? And the corporate setting is a great place for learning all kinds of skills. And so figuring out how to translate your special power into something that moves across company size, for example.
Exactly.
So when you say relationship-based lead generation, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so it's really dialing in who your dream client is. It all starts with that, right? Like understanding who it is that you want to help, how are you helping them, what is the problem that you solve? And I know these are basic foundational questions, but they're fundamental to everything that we do, no matter what kind of business you have. And so I work with my clients on that to really just dial that in so they're very clear on that. And then it's being able to find those people where they are and building a genuine, authentic relationship with them, and then finding out how you can help them, right? Like really connecting with them on a very human level, and then building a long-term relationship. Like for me, my clients, my goal is forever clients, not just one time, help them with an immediate thing. It's how can I build that long-term relationship with them? So it's having that approach basically in everything that you do and being able to help people solve the problems that they have.
Yeah. So what's the best way to find those people that you want to build those relationships with? I mean, do you do that in person? Do you do that online? What's the mechanism for finding those folks?
That's a great question. And I would say all the above. So it depends on what specific industry you're in and where your people hang out, right? So you want to go to where your people are. And if you can do it in person, my opinion is that's the best, right? Like we're human creatures and we
Most of us
connect,
anyway.
right, connect best. And
And there's this guy I met, I'm not sure, but okay.
Some of us are questionable, yes. I went to an event recently. I was at a Podfest Expo down in Florida and was reminded at how enjoyable it is to really be in person with people. Like we're so used to the Zoom world. And I do it all day long, so I'm not knocking it. But like whenever we can connect in person, personally, I think that's the best. But next best, of course, would be virtual and online. And my favorite is podcasting, right? Like it's so incredibly powerful to be able to reach your dream clients through your podcast. And we can talk about that. But there's like a whole strategy and methodology I teach my clients of how to use a podcast to really connect with your dream people. And then there's also social media outlets like LinkedIn is one, of course. And again, it depends on who you're trying to help and where your people are.
Yeah. So I hear a dog barking, and that's one of the things we got used to during COVID, that, sometimes people are at home and they have dogs or kids or, some other kinds of interruptions. And, that's fine. Again, that was one of the gifts of the pandemic, is that we're able to do this kind of thing and make some level of connection through, a video call. It's so pervasive now, but absolutely we are, as human beings, we are social animals, and we crave that real connection that we get, that we only get by being in person. So let's talk a little bit about that in-person thing, and then I want to shift to the podcast thing, because I'm very interested in what you have to say there. So for the in-person thing, are there again, there are places or ways that you recommend people do this kind of stuff?
Absolutely. I would say, so often we think about in-person events as what can I get out of it, right? Because we're just wired that way, right? What's in it for me? And that's okay, right? Like that's a big part of it. But I think when we look at it a little bigger than that, of where are my dream people already congregating, and where can I go and again start building those human connections with them, that's where your business will start to really explode. And I'll give you a couple examples of that. I focus primarily on the podcasting world because I'm very big on helping podcasters build their business, right? And we'll talk about that too. So naturally, I saw this event and thought, well, I can get something out of it for myself, right? Because I'm big into the podcasting world. But more than that, my clients are there. My potential dream clients are at this event. So the more of my potential dream clients that I can meet and, build a relationship with, the more it's naturally going to continue to blossom. And, one connection leads to other connections, right? And naturally, my dream people will likely know other dream people. And so those are the type of events that I would suggest going to, not just ones that you get out, something out of educationally, for example, or certification or something, but also putting yourself in the place where your potential dream clients will already be congregating, so that you can find out the problems that they have, find out ways that you can connect with them, and just exchange information where they wouldn't normally know about you.
Right. And these would not necessarily be local events. Like you
Correct.
traveled.
I mean, I drove cross country to go to, which was part of the journey itself. And for me, that also, kind of reinforced it in my mind that I live in Maryland. I was going to Florida. I thought, what clients or contacts do I have that I can connect with along the way? And it was a really awesome trip, quite honestly, because I was able to meet people in real life that I was only, connected with on Facebook, frankly. And either they were clients or contacts or collaboration opportunities. And we got to meet and have pizza and talk about ways that we can help each other. And, they invite me into their homes, and like, it just really solidifies those relationships and how they can then blossom into something bigger.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, I think, sometimes we get I'm either going to go to like a local chamber event, or I'm going to do all this stuff on Zoom, and we forget about, well, where are your people congregating?
Exactly.
If you serve dentists, go to a dentist's convention, right?
Exactly.
In fact, I'm going in just a few weeks to a franchise opportunity, a franchise convention, if you will, with a bunch of franchisees and franchisors. Because one of the things that I can do is help a franchisor really get a handle on how well each of the franchise locations are doing. That's one of the methodologies in my coaching platform.
100%.
So,
And
so,
it was,
so yeah,
if I could, sorry,
going in
add one more
person.
thought.
Yep. You sure?
Yeah, sorry. One of my favorite parts of this event in particular was after it was a multi-day event. And after the event that day, I was invited to like a circle of people that were just hanging out and getting to know each other. And so we're all literally sitting in a circle outside and we go around, and it was very spontaneous. This was not organized at all. But we all go around the circle and we're sharing what it is that we do with our business. And, we're all talking about how we can help each other. And there's pieces in your business, you can help me and I can help you. And literally after we finished this conversation, I had literally a line of people waiting to sit next to me to book appointments in my calendar because of how I help people with their podcast. They're like, I want to talk to you. I'm like, okay, I'm happy to I'll help you however I can. But we forget that that's part of that in-person nature of they hear what you do, they see they experience your energy of how you're communicating it. And they're like, I need that. Right. And you can very quickly get people into your world through that.
Yeah. So let's shift now to the podcast world and what is it that podcasters need to do? Because I've had guests on here that have talked about what you do as a podcast guest, but it sounds like you are really aimed at podcast hosts and leveraging that to grow their business. So talk a little bit about what that looks like. Maybe
100%.
I'll learn something.
I'm happy to share. And this actually applies to both of them, but I do focus on the podcast host experience. And ultimately what I do is I, again, figure out my dream clients, and then I invite my dream clients to be guests on my show. And my goal is to either connect with my dream clients or people that have the attention of my dream clients, right? That's who I'm filling my world with. And therefore, that's who is filling my database. That's who I'm connecting with. That's who I'm talking with. That's who, when you invite them to be guests on your show, I don't invite them to sell them, first of all. I just want to be clear on that. But I invite them to build a genuine, authentic relationship with them. And I'm pouring into them. Like my entire show is focused on teeing them up to look fabulous, right? To give them the platform to share what it is that they do with their business. So I'm investing my energy into them. And, through the course of an hour, right, we go from complete stranger to know, like, trust, love, right? Like you build a connection with them and in a way that you don't anywhere else. Like where else in an hour can I, right, build that much rapport with somebody? So I do that very intentionally. I have a 5-star, experience for them where it's a fully automated system, very high touch, very personalized, but I create a fabulous experience for them that they love, and then spend my time connecting with them. And then after the episode, reach out to say, hey, how can we best support each other? Genuinely, right? And just through that, the doors that open in that moment are magnificent, frankly. Like just through that human connection and being able to help each other, they're like, oh, nobody's ever asked me that. Well, we could do this collab. You could come on Instagram Live. I'm having a summit. I'm having a speaking opportunity. Like all these doors open up that you then have to follow up with, of course. But I have hired more of my client, like the guests that I have on my show. And I've been hired by my guests through this interaction because I'm targeting my dream people. I'm building a genuine relationship with them. And then we see how we can help each other. And when I share what it is that I do, naturally, genuinely, right, not trying to sell them, they naturally say, well, I need that. Is that making sense?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Again,
it's very powerful.
It's all about the relationship and how do you build that relationship, and whether you're doing it in person at some kind of an event where you have a whole room full of people like that, and obviously there's power in the numbers, but then picking out the special one or two to have on your podcast, to have as guests, again, not with the idea of selling them anything, but as a platform for them to get out what they do, and truly helping them put that out. I can see the power of that.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very powerful and very, very personal, like just a very personal connection with people, which is really awesome. That then continues to grow after that, like continuing to nurture that relationship.
So are there particular kinds of people that work, that do really well with your system of improving, not just podcast hosts, but specific categories of businesses?
Of course, yeah. I would say anybody that has an offer with their business, right, that could potentially align with their podcast topic. So, for example, my podcast is all about helping 6, 7+ figure entrepreneurs work smarter, not harder, right? And a lot of them are podcast hosts, right? So my goal is to help the business owner behind the podcaster, but people that are podcasts, that have podcasts generally are experts in their field. So therefore it's calling in my right people. So I would say anybody that has an offer, that has a business, and that you want to grow more and you enjoy the podcasting space, would be able to benefit from having a fully automated podcast system that doesn't exist anywhere else, frankly, and simplifies it to free up your time. And then also a way to monetize your podcast through genuine relationship building in a way that's easy and natural. So those would be the criteria. And then there's also other opportunities, of course, of the ads, the sponsorship, and your listeners, which are powerful as well. But this adds a layer on top of it that most podcasters, in all honesty, miss, because they're so focused on, I need volume, I need numbers, I need sponsors, I need ads, I need content. And you're missing that human connection that's right in front of you.
Yeah. So where's the best place for somebody to go and look for these guests?
That's a great question. So it depends on your subject matter, we'll say, as to where your people ultimately are, right? So an easy one is you can go onto Facebook groups. There's a couple of really great Facebook groups if your people live there. But there's a podcast collaboration group, which is fantastic. There's also a Need a Guest, Find a Guest, I think is the name of it. Those two are my favorites. And the key is for those listening to be really, really specific of who you're looking for, to be really, really specific of who your dream person is that you want to call out to be on your show. And it could be dentists, it could be chiropractors, it could be anybody. It could be people that have been through trauma, like whoever it is that you're trying to help. You want to be really specific and you put that call out. And this is how I stumbled into this world. Was a friend invited me to be on her show as the queen of automation, because that's my specialty and where I geek out. And I fell in love with the format. I'm like, this just feels really natural. I could do this. And so I put a post in one of those groups and I went to bed, literally expecting nothing. And I woke up the next day and like 100 people raised their hand wanting to be on my show. I'm like, I just stepped on something huge. Like, I don't know what to do with this yet, but this is massive. And I was pretty specific with who I wanted then, right? But I realized I didn't have a system to manage this. So I felt very overwhelmed by all these people. How do I get back to them in a proper way? And so I looked for a system, it didn't exist. And anyway, so that's how I ended up building out the system. But to my point is Facebook groups are a really easy one. Connecting with your existing contact list, like your database, whoever you have in your contacts in your phone, right? Those are a great warm market to start with. And just say, hey, I'm looking for, I have a new podcast or I have an existing, whatever, that I'm looking for this type of person. Would you happen to know anybody that might be interested? Right? Not sure if this is for you, but do you know anybody that it might work? And you'll be surprised how many people say, well, it may not be me, but I know somebody, let me introduce you. Right? Or, yeah, that's me. I want to do that. And now you're calling out your dream people in a way that's very easy, natural, and people go crazy about wanting to be on podcasts.
Yeah. No, I've not had any trouble getting guests on my podcast. So what about LinkedIn? Is there a way, is there a strategy? Because that's where most of my people hang out. If I were going to do this, where, how would I approach that on LinkedIn?
Yeah, you can also do this on LinkedIn, and I love that. I also work with my clients there in, again, dialing in those dream people, right? And LinkedIn is one of the best search platforms other than Google to be able to get really granular on who it is that you're looking for. And obviously you're working on your network of, these are people that I know or know people that I know. But yes, so we can get really granular of who those people are, where they live, like dentists that live in, South California area, for example, like whatever your people are that you want to connect with, we can dial them in and then reach out to them in an automated way. Like I set up different automations for my clients to basically call them out and initiate a conversation so that then you're picking up a conversation with people that actually want to talk to you and not having to spend your energy on everybody under the sun. When in reality, you just want the people that want to connect with you.
Right. Yeah. And trying to, being as intentional about who you say no to as who you say yes to.
100%.
It's really important because, of course, every time we say yes to one thing, we are saying no to something else. So why not be intentional about who you're saying no to? It's nothing, again, wrong with them as people. And sometimes we get worried about. That's one of the reasons we don't like to say no, right? Is because, well, maybe I'll hurt them or they'll feel bad or whatever. We don't like to do that. But you are, when you say yes, you are saying no to something else. And just be clear.
Yeah, and ultimately we can't help everybody, right?
No.
Like we'd like to think we can, but we can't help everybody well.
And we don't have time to do that either, right? Even if we could help everybody.
Right.
So talk a little bit about your automation stuff. What is it? What's the special sauce? What is it that makes your automation different from, because there are lots of platforms that help with podcasting.
Yeah, for sure.
What is it that you do that's different, better?
So I would say the first piece is my architecture brain. So I come from a, Fortune 500 vision of like, these are the pieces that need to work well together and to really streamline things. That's just how my brain works. And so I approached it of what do I actually need as a podcaster, right? Not just like, here's some stuff we can throw together, or starting with the system and then working backwards to this is what you get. These are the needs that I have every single day. And that's what I built out of the things that are baked into the system. So it's basically, go ahead. Are you going to?
No, I'm just smiling at your dog.
I know. I'm sorry. There's someone walking down the road. So the way that it works and just simplifies things is you have an application form, which is more than an application form. It's market research, right? Because we're calling in our dream people. So you can be very strategic of the questions that you're asking so that ultimately it ties into market research. And I'm very strategic with everything that I do. But from there, it goes into a fully automated dashboard. So you don't have to keep track of anything. Like you don't have to move anybody anywhere, which is awesome because that's my favorite part. Like I don't want to have to keep up with that. And then if I want people on my show, like I'm very selective as you are of who I have on my show, then it'll send them an automated self-scheduling. Here's how you sign up, connected with my calendar so they see my availability. And then it gives them the automated emails to tell them exactly what to prepare for, right? It's video, it's audio, all the information they need. And then after the podcast, the interview, they then get a feedback form, which is more than a feedback form, but it's feedback, it's testimonials, it's referrals for my podcast and referrals for my business all in one, right? Because that's the point that they're in love with you, they're thrilled, right? That's when you want to capture it. And then there's an ongoing nurture after that, like, getting people to leave you reviews and basically just all the stuff that you need. And it also simplifies the publishing process that it exports it automatically to my team. So my team can pick up the episode. They know exactly the order that I've done my episodes, all the pertinent information that's there. And everything that I described is all in one system. It's not all these duct taped together systems that most people use. And what I find, guesting on other people's shows, that they're all different types of systems baked together. This is one, so you can see all of the details from your person in one spot, which is really cool.
That sounds great. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, to get in touch with you, what's the best way to start that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way would be to go to Instagram, and you can message me at 7-Figure Builder is my Instagram handle on Instagram.
Is that the number 7 or the
word
SEVEN?
7?
Okay.
Great question. Word 7. Yep. You can also check out 7figurepodcastbuilder.com is where I have my system there that will get you started. And I'm happy to connect with you. You can also get me at the 7figurebuildershow.com, or 7figurebuilder.com is my show, the podcast. But 7-Figure Builder, you can definitely find me pretty much anywhere.
All right, good. We'll make sure all of that stuff is in the show notes. So, and that concludes our show for today. Thanks to my guest, Juli Baranik, founder of 7-Figure Builder and the host of the 7-Figure Builder Show. I hope you learned something about relationship-based lead generation. I know I did. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Profit Minds podcast. This is your host, Dr. Stephen Kirch. Please visit www.profitminds.net for other episodes or to contact me. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others. Thanks for listening. Have a grateful day.